Hey everyone, welcome back to the Trailblazer RZR. In this video, I'm going to give you guys a little explanation to why I don't need a turbo and why I chose the Polaris RZR XP4100 Ultimate. Well, this kind of goes way back to probably late 2021, early 2022 when we went to Rice's Power Sports in Rapid City and we looked at some side-by-sides. We saw an orange, I guess, CF Moto, which I did like. I saw some Polarises. I saw all these different brands out there, and we were just looking, we weren't ready to buy one at that time in late 2021, early 2022, because in April of that year, 2022, we went to Redline Power Sports for my birthday just to look at some side-by-sides for when that time did come for us to move out to South Dakota and go riding up in the Black Hills. But that didn't really work out a whole lot. So yeah, on April 26th, which was my birthday in 2022, I just turned 28. So we were looking at different side-by-sides. Like we saw a Yamaha Wolverine X4. Didn't really catch my eye as much. This one did not catch my eye at all. The Maverick XRS. Mainly because of the ride height. Being a very short guy, I can't even see above the dash. Like, what the heck? I actually found one that was just my size, and that was the Polaris RZR 900S, which was a sport model, and it was a pretty good looking side-by-side, for a two-seater at the time. This was 2022, so these were 2022/2023 models, and we didn't really buy one for another 2 or 3 years at this point. So I looked at all these different side-by-sides, and none of them really catch my eye. So what we did was we didn't go back again until 2025, which was February 2025. It was Valentine's Day, and we were mainly on the lot, the outside lot, looking at different side-by-sides, and the one we were mainly looking at was a Kawasaki Terex KRX 4100 Blackout Edition, because I really like that one. We even looked at the Can-Am Maverick, but I sat in it, and both me and my dad sat in it, and we couldn't even see above the dash. It's that bad, let me tell you. The ride height for a guy like me, yeah, it's not really the greatest. We even saw a Honda Talon. These were 2025 models. So these were kind of last year's models, or 2024, 2025 models. So the Honda Talon, it was really a pain in the butt to get in. And it was just bone stock. Or it was bone dry when it comes to the lack of technology built into the side-by-side from the factory. And we even saw the Polaris, which I was thinking about, but Polaris was my original thought, because I did like the RZR 900S. Because it was it was two-seater, it was the perfect ride height, and it was very easy for me to control, especially as a new side-by-side owner. Because I was just coming from golf carts, because I owned a 2003 E-Z-GO and a 2017 E-Z-GO. Both came from Graham Golf Cars, and I was just hopping in to my first side-by-side, and we really wanted to get one to go riding around. So So Valentine's Day, we did fall in love with the Kawasaki Terex KRX 41000 Blackout Edition. So it was still a 1000, but it was a Kawasaki. It was a Terex KRX 41000 Ultimate. Not Ultimate, but the Blackout Edition, which was fully loaded with the Hyphonic system. It had pretty much everything that I would need in a side-by-side, but come to figure out that after the summer, when we were getting ready to settle down after working all summer and working all spring, we decided to go and get a side-by-side. So on September 30th, 2025, we actually went back to Redline because we were just coming home from Mount Pleasant because my dad had a appointment. So we just said, hey, we should just go to Redline and get a side-by-side. So that's what we did. It was very rainy that day, and we saw the Kawasaki Terex KRX 41000 ES, which was just a plain, not really that much fully loaded. It didn't have a radio in it, and a lot of that stuff should have already come factory installed. So I just passed on the Kawasaki, even though it was my favorite color, blue. Because, blue is one of my favorite colors. But I guess not for a side-by-side. Black and blue. And, of course, I did see the Honda Talons. Even those did not have anything in them. They were a pain to get open, with the doors. So I passed on the Hondas. And then I even saw a 2-seater Polaris RZR Pro R, and it was teal and black. But I passed on that because it was a 2-seater. We needed a 4-seater. Since I have other family members I wanted to take with me, like my sister, my future brother-in-law, my brother, and my sister-in-law, take turns riding in a 4-seater. Or, we'll take my mom out or my dad out, both. And there was the one I ended up getting, the Storm Gray and Lime Green Polaris RZR XP41000 Ultimate that was set on that rock. And I did see some RZRs, which these were the RZR Sports, which I did not like at all, because, especially that color. I mean, that was a good color. But I would have to install a ride command system, kind of take that out, maybe get like a little speaker bar. Yeah, it would not work at all. So I passed on the RZR Sports, and after so much looking, I end up picking up my dream side-by-side, and it was the Polaris RZR XP41000 Ultimate, the one I've been owning for quite a while. Let's see, we bought it actually we got it in October, so November, December, January. It's about 3 or 4 months of owning this Polaris RZR XP41000 Ultimate. I was really, really happy because, I finally got a side-by-side after so long of owning a golf cart. I mean, I'm really appreciative when it comes to the things I, get, I got this one because it was fully loaded with the ride command system. It has a backup camera. It has a lot of safety features that I would possibly need as a new, driver. And it was already purchased. It was too late. Even when the Kawasaki H2 came out, it was too late. I already bought the RZR XP41000 Ultimate. It was the only fully loaded side-by-side on their entire lot. So yeah, Redline doesn't have as many side-by-sides as they do four-wheelers and, dirt bikes and stuff like that. But they do have a decent amount of side-by-sides in their showroom. But yeah, at that time in late September, early October of last year, the RZR XP 4000 Ultimate was the only one that was fully loaded, and it was a 4-seater, so it had the perfect spec that I needed. And I didn't really care if it was a non-turbo. I like non-turbos because they have a decent amount of power for places like Riverneck and Carolina Adventure World. That's why I didn't settle for a turbo, because turbo's been way too much power for going at least 15 miles an hour down trails and just cruising down the trails and just having fun. And I was really happy that I got the Polaris RZR XP 4000 Ultimate. For those of you who's saying that I need a turbo, think again. The RZR XP 4000 Ultimate did just fine with me. And of course I did like the color, storm gray and lime green. And we've already decked it out with lights and Nerf bars and a back bumper and a rearview mirror, our cargo box. I mean, there's nothing. And of course we're gonna get some fender flares. We're gonna get some fender flares to go on the fenders there to keep the mud from going into the cabin. It's gonna be awesome. I cannot wait to see the fender flares, what they're gonna look like on the RZR, just to keep it from kicking up a lot of mud and dirt and getting the Polaris all muddy and having to clean it. So I've been taking really good care of it for the last 3 or 4 months, and it's been fantastic for what I need it for and the type of riding I'm actually going to do, because here are some of the trails we're ending up going to be going to. First, we went to Riverneck, which is more off-road, mud boggin park. And then, of course, Carolina Adventure World. That's an off-road park, but it's got a lot more hilly type of riding. So it does just fine with that, with Carolina Adventure World. And another trail that we're going to plan on going to one of these days is Durham Town in Union Point, Georgia. It's an off-road park in Union Point, Georgia, one of these days. But also the Hatfield McCoy Trails, that's another one. And then also maybe I guess that's what we know so far, is Union Point, Georgia at Durham Town Off-Road Park in Union Point, Georgia. The Hatfield McCoy Trails up in West Virginia. Riverneck over in Florence, and Carolina Adventure World up there in Winnsboro, South Carolina. And a lot of that is just fine for a non-turbo Polaris RZR XP4 1000 Ultimate. So yeah, at the time, the XP4 1000 Ultimate was the only one that was fully loaded. Even though I did see a 2-seater Pro R, I decided to skip on that because it was a 2-seater. It didn't have as many seats as I wanted. I wanted 4 seats, at least 4 seats, so the RZR XP4 1000 Ultimate fit the bill. It was just exactly like I needed. So I've been pretty happy for the last 4 months or 3 months of owning the RZR XP4 1000 Ultimate. And I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.